بسم الله والابن والروح القدس name of the Father and Son Holy Spirit one God Amen. And we're celebrating tomorrow the Noah fast. So it's very important we learn from Noah life as a servant. There's a lot of lessons. The story, everyone who knows the story, can open the book of Jonah, please, and we'll start together. I will give some introduction about the fasting of Nineveh and about the life of Jonah until everyone gets the Bible. Number one, this fasting wasn't in our Coptic church until the Pope number 62, Baba Abraham, son of Zara, the Syrian. This fasting wasn't in our church. Until the Pope 62, the Coptic church, they used to not fast this at all. But when God chose him as a Pope, we know the Baba Abraham, the Pope, his time, the mountain of Muqattam was moved. He was a spiritual person. God chose him to be a patriarch number 62. When he was a Pope and he found the Coptic church fast 1 week early for Great Lent, Lol Istadat, the Syrians did not fast this week. He said, I cannot see my people fasting and I'm not going to fast. So he started fast the first week, and when the fast of Jonah come, the church he found him fasting. So what the church done? The church said, we cannot let our Pope fast and will not fast, because the Syrian, the Nineveh, it's very close to Iraq. That's why they fast these 3 days. So we adopt these 3 days from the Syrian church and we put it in our fasting, and they took the 1 week preparation week in their fasting, but unfortunately they not fast this anymore. So we stuck with our 3 days, and they take discount for their 1 week. That Abuna Matthew told me. I asked him, did the Syrian still fast this week? He said no. But it's a blessed fast. It's to prepare us for the Great Lent. As Abuna Augustinus today he mentioned, the tone and the prayer of fast of Nineveh the same exactly like the Great Lent. So preparing us, because in 2 weeks time we will start the Great Lent, the best time on the year for how we store our spiritual life, restore and save spiritual to all year. Nineveh, it's very close to Iraq, in this area. Jonah, he was prophesied for about 59 years. He was prophesied for the time of Amos. And some of the scholars, they said he's the son of the widow Elijah, he wake up her son, and some he said no, for Mar'ah Shunamiyah, Elijah, he wake up her son. Some people they said, but anyhow, he's the one of them, and to show us his mom was Gentiles, wasn't Jewish. That's why God he chose him to preach the Gentiles. His name meaning pigeon, and they said that's a prophecy too, because God sent him from place to place to teach people about God and to be a Jew or to know God in that time. So we started his time. God he called him. He called him to go Nineveh. As a servant, we've been called for many years, many times to go any class. What we learn from number one, always have obedience to the class you cannot serve, or have obedience for any church you cannot serve. Why? Because maybe something I cannot see now, God he will see later. Maybe God he wants to choose you for the benefit of the kids, or God he choose you to learning something of the kids. Not every time we teach the kids. A lot of time we learn from them. Amba Antonius, when he was next to the river and they see a woman having a bath on the river, and told her, are you not embarrassed to have bath in front of monk? She said, if you really monk, go back to the desert. That's your place. And he learned the lesson and he went. Amba Macarius, one day he coming to walk to Alexandria and see one lady, she put makeup, she was to see some man for money or whatever. He was crying. He said, they asked him, why you cry, father? They said, this woman, she spent a lot of time to attract men, but I'm not spending this much time. I attract God to look to me. So they learn from the story around them and take benefit. Saint Arsenius, when he eating the beans and pick up the good one, and they want to teach him a lesson, so they hit another monk next to him. I said, why you eat the good one and leave the bad one for your brother? He said, this is slap in your face, Arsenius. So it's very important. God sends you in the class, or God sends you in the service for reason. Accept it and tell him, God, like Samuel, he said, God, I am here, just do whatever with me. Use me, God, like what you like. So God, he sent him. And when he went, he said, he was a Gentile, and in that time he believed in God. He said, if these people believe, might be God, he leave our country, or the Jewish, and concentrate about Gentiles. No, he wanted God to love his country more. One of the story, Father Ismo Abuna Abadir, when they established the service in Iraq, His Holiness Bab Shenouda chose him to go Iraq. Iraq in that time they have no church, but they have a lot of worker Christian. So this person going there, no church, nothing, what he can do. And he was very scared, he doesn't know what he's doing, and he doesn't want to go. But he takes the order and said, obey. When he went to the airport in that day, the airplane went early about 40 minutes. What happened? There was a big bomb in the airport. And after they come out and everything, the bomb stopped. The bomb was timing exactly on the time of the airplane. But because the airplane come early, so the bomb come after. So at least he was in the ground, not in the time the aircraft. So when the airport exploded, a lot of people died. One of the bombs fly and went through his lima and just stopped before touching his car. Everything lost except the bag of my room. What happened? The media, the TV, or Saddam Hussein in that time, they took him in the best, they took the people of the best hostel, and the was the media talking about, they saw a priest coming from Coptic church. So all the church went and started to visit him. The country gave him land, gave the church land to build a church. The Syrian Orthodox, they told him, you can pray in our church until you establish a church. Was in the media everywhere for all the Christians, there is a Coptic priest coming from Egypt. He said, if I was doing advertise, if we tell everyone we can establish a church, not like what God was planning. This accident make how many church we have now in Iraq? 2-3 church, and mostly the government gives them the church, and the service over there very successful. So sometimes God send us somewhere, but we accept His will, and we take it with love, so we take the blessing of the service. Number 2 here, as a servant, sometimes I think I'm correct. What happened with Jonah? He doesn't want to go. He went inside the boat and pay money. And he was very, very deep sleeping. I don't know how he sleep. If you have a small problem, do you think he sleep? But his problem, he think his problem gone. He pay money and went inside the boat and sleep. He think that's it. He fixed the problem with the way he think. Not to ask God, God tell me how I fix this problem. Sometimes we try to hide, or we try to fix the problem with our way, and we think the problem can fix. Sometimes we pay money to fix our problem so away from God. So instead of you asking God, God tell me what I do, or God you want me there, I go. No, he tried to fix it in his own way and sleep. Third one was very important. After they start they wake him up. Who tell him go wake up and pray to your God? Who wake him up and tell him stand, wake, we have a problem here. Just wake and cry to your God. Who the one call him to pray? Someone read for us Jonah 1 from 5 to 14, please, Marina. They start to wake him up now.
Then the mariners were afraid, and every man cried out to his God, and threw the cargo that was in the ship into the sea, to lighten the load. But Jonah had gone down into the lowest parts of the ship, had lain down, and was fast asleep. So the captain came to him, and said to him, What do you mean, sleeper? Arise, call on your God. Perhaps your God will consider us, so that we may not perish.
Okay, so this man, he doesn't know God. He believes in idols, but he found this something strange. He's the one doesn't know God. Tell the prophet, 59 years old or 58 years old, prophesy, wake up and pray to your God. That's exactly, I tell you, sometimes we're learning from people outside. One of the story was a servant went to a small village coming from a city, goes a small village to preach them and to tell them about Sunday school and everything. So they asked him, how is the city, what we see in the city, and he started to talk about city. He forgot everything and talk about the education, the uni, the city, whatever. One little girl, she was attending, said, when can you talk to us about God? He started to wake up and he understand what his main service coming to teach them about God. Here Jonah, between the Gentiles, he's supposed to tell them about God. He's the one escape, and they tell him, wake up and pray to your God. And he wake up and he learn the lesson. After he wake up, he found all this trouble. For whom? Who's the reason? Jonah. Tells him, I am the problem, just what you do to me. Cast me in the water, everything cannot be good. He wake up to himself. And this is a nice lesson, very important. Sometimes we find the temptation. Sometimes we have big problem. Sometimes we need to get out and think what I do wrong, or maybe I need to repent, or maybe I sit with confession father, or maybe the life very quick. I need to take it easy and quiet and think, did I go the right direction, or I doing something wrong? Sometimes we find everything against us. I have a problem at work, problem at home. People not understand me right. A lot of problems. Think and stop and see. When he found all these problems from him, they said, get me out of here, everything be safe. After he left, everything back to normal. When he was in the wild stomach or wild womb, what happened to him? He nearly tasted the death. And this week, we have 3 people learn a good lesson from death. Last week, which one he learned from death? Saint Anthony. Saint Anthony, last week, he saw his dad on the floor and told him, Dad, you left the world without your will. I go by my will. He left everything and learned from his lesson. Jonah, he was in the nearly death. That's why we say, as Jesus Christ in 3 days, he can rise like Jonah was in the 3 days in the wild tomb and get out. Next week, we're celebrating another saint, very important. He learned from the death too. Amba Bola. What happened? He with his brother-in-law or brother, some scholars said, he took him to the court. He found someone coming out in the church. They was praying on him. And after they found him gone, he said, who's this person? The most richest person in the city. Go out empty hand. He left his brother, he left the problem, and went the desert 70 or 90 years, never see a person. God, he used to send the rain with his prayer and put the measure high up in the river for his prayer. So these 3 people learn from the death. If we see people passing away in front of us and we didn't learn, one day we can be like them, you never learn from Bible, you never learn from topic. Because this tell you we are here today, tomorrow we're not here. So be careful. Whatever we do, will go. Only thing will stay, the service, the good deed you done, and the donation you done. This is the only thing that stays. Because when you go, we go empty hands. Like we're born with empty hands. After this one, the result of his temptation or result of the story. Every temptation or every hardship we have, they have result. He learned from his result. God, he told him, come here, I will teach you a small lesson. This is the first lesson I want you. This my people, I want to look after them. And this, you was worried about this small plant. When the small plant died, he said, God, take my spirit, I doesn't want to live anymore. He told them, you worry about the small plant and he doesn't want to worry about all these 120,000 people. He doesn't want me worry about them. You have to, as a servant, worry about each one. We worry about the good, we worry about the bad, we worry about the naughty, we worry about people not coming. That's our job. If the class is all peaceful and the nice class, you're not doing anything. But the more kids naughty and make hardship, this is the more blessing you take. This is the more thing you will found, and these the people will stay more in the church. Last story, Anba Beeman, late Anba Beeman, in his diocese, they found a Muslim person. His dad passed away, and his uncle took all his money. And this guy who was in engineering, he can't finish his study. He has no money. He can found no one. So they told him, go ask the Bishop of Christian. He went, he told him about his story. My dad passed away, my uncle took all my money and doesn't want to give me money to continue my study. He said, don't worry. He asked one of the monks, go get him furniture, give him money, pay his study, and the guy he starts every month he come to the bishop, he give him some money to continue study. After he finishes his study and start work, he come to the bishop, give him the money back. He was very disappointed. He said, no way, you like my son. Whatever happened to you, happened to any of my son. Anything you take, I never can take it back. This bishop passed away. This is a Muslim person stand up in his 40 days, and I said, I need to say something. He said, my uncle left me away without any money, anything. My friend, my people from the same religion never helped me, but this the Bishop of Christian helped me. So the hard stuff you do it with people, the service, and you spend the time with people, they never can be forgotten. Will stay with you forever. So our Jonah, we fast tomorrow, we remember. Very important, the service we have, it's a blessing from God. We listen to Him and we obey His call, and we see where He put us. Number two, we learn from people around us, if in a Sunday school, people from outside. Number three, if we found the temptation and the hardship around us, stop and listen. Number four, we learn from the death. That's very important, because one day we follow. Last one, every temptation has result. What I learn from the temptation will affect your life. Glory be to God forever and ever. Amen.